Thanks for taking the time to spend a little bit of time with me. Appreciate the opportunity to be standing in front of you today. I'm very grateful to Coach Saban and the members of the University of Alabama to allow me to have this opportunity. I've been working really hard to try to establish an identity for our football team. Got a long way to go, really in the third day of training camp here, or fall camp. Just trying to string some good days together. And, the guys are working really hard and putting in a lot of effort. I appreciate all that, and appreciate working with the staff that we got here. A bunch of good guys that work extremely hard, been very helpful for me, and hopefully we work well together and take it one day at a time and try to improve the best we can. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. Again, appreciate the time to take care. If you guys could say your names so I could start learning some of your guys' names, that'd be great before you ask the question.
We'll start up front here with Ryan.
Hey, good morning. Ryan Fowler here in Tuscaloosa. Can you talk about your offensive philosophy and also address maybe some similarities between Bill Belichik and Nick Saban?
Yeah, well, we have a ton of different plays that we can run offensively, and what you try to do as a coach is you try to put the players in position to be successful. Ultimately, Coach Saban is the head football coach, but we have a variety of different plays, both runs and passes, and we're implementing new plays every day. We have a whole new package going in today, quite a bit of plays, throwing a lot at these guys. You try to be aggressive as an offensive guy. You try to take away the strengths of a defense and really the strengths of your offense you want to go try to expose the defense with. In terms of Bill and Coach Saban, obviously they've worked together in Cleveland, got a lot of respect for both of them, learned a great deal probably from those two men more than anybody else in this profession. Detailed, organized, demanding, expect you to do it the right way. There's no excuses to be made. You have a job to do, you go do it. Our mantra is do your job. And that's what everyone in the organization has to do is do their job. I can't play offensive line, although I might look like it right now. And they can't do our job. So everybody's got a job to do. Great leader, demanding, tough. Really appreciate the opportunity. Had some good experience with him at Michigan State as a graduate assistant, and he's a great guy to work for.
Come back down to the front with Tony. Blue.
Tony Sakalas, Bama
Hey,
Insider.
Tony. How you doing?
How's it going? What have you found the biggest difference between the college and the pro game?
Well, there's some time requirements there that you can't maybe meet as much, but again, the philosophy of the organization and the structure and the detail that Coach Saban provides for us is very similar to the system that I came from. Coaching fundamentals is coaching fundamentals. So whether you're coaching, a 30-year-old man or an 18-year-old young man, 19-year-old young man, you still got to coach the fundamentals and make sure they do it properly, and those don't change based on age. Leverage, hand placement, pad level, route detail, reads, footwork, those are all the same whether you're coaching in professional football or you're coaching here. Your job as a coach is to show them how to do it and really accept no excuses. Demand they do it the right way, and then just if they mess it up or it's not exactly the way you want it, you got to get it fixed.
Go in the back with Matt. Raise your hand.
Matt Zenitz with AL.com. So Jalen at one point described what you guys are doing as kind of a combination of what the offense has been successful doing in the past with you implementing some different things that you've been successful with and that the Patriots were successful with when you were there. Hey, how would you describe kind of what the approach is offensively, and is that a good way to sum up just what the approach and philosophy is?
Yeah, we're going to, you hope that every good coaching staff tries to do what their players do best. So there's a lot of plays that you can run in offensive football. There was obviously a lot of success here that they've had in the past, and Coach Saban has had, for the last 10, 11 years he's been here. It'd be foolish to just take one offense that you're accustomed to running and try to adapt it to another team that, some of the plays suit, some of the plays don't suit. So your job is to go ahead and mix and match and really find the best results for the guys that you're working with for that particular year.
We'll go in the back with Cecil.
Hello, Coach. Cecil Hurt from the Tuscaloosa News. In return, could you give us the one definitive pronunciation of your last name?
Yeah, so
please?
it's Daboll. D like table, Daboll. Yep, that's it. I've heard a lot of them.
There are several. One, I guess, difference pro to college, the number of running backs that you'd be working with. Just talk a little bit about the guys that you've got back there and what role there is for Bo, Damien, et cetera.
Yeah, well, I think we have an outstanding running back coach in Burton Burns. He does a great job with these guys. He's been here the entire time with Coach Saban. And look, running back is a position that you can't have too many of them. You can find creative ways to try to use them, and everyone will have a role if they earn that role. So there's good players with all five of those guys. Really, they've done a good job in spring, and again, we've been out here for 2 days with no pads on right now. So really, it's more of an execution and detail and assignment thing. You know, we'll get into the physical part of it here soon enough. But all the guys are smart. They work really hard. They're well coached. So you know, we find some roles that we can use as we see fit.
Go Chandler here.
Chandler Rome with the Anniston Star. Brian, where have you seen Jalen? I don't know how much film you watched of him last season, but how much did you watch of him last season? How much has he improved as a passer, both from the spring and now into the fall camp?
He's an extremely hard worker, dedicated to his craft as a young man to try to play the position the best he can. You know, I've watched you know, every piece of film that he's had, whether it's last year or in the spring. And our goal, our mantra really, not just for Jalen, but for all the quarterbacks and the guys on our team, is to improve every single day with their fundamentals, because it doesn't matter what play you call. You can scheme, it doesn't really matter until you really perfect your fundamentals. At the end of the day, when it's crunch time, the team that plays with good fundamentals usually has the best chance to win. So he's really improved his feet and his eyes and where he's going with the football. But look, we're third day of training camp. We'll just keep grinding away, try to string some good ones together. But you know, I appreciate the effort that he's put in. Great young man, really dedicated, smart, tough. So we'll keep grinding away with him.
Up front here with John Zier.
John Zeno with
John.
Associated Press. Hi. First off, I'm going to ask two questions. One's kind of loaded, but why do you work so well with coaches that are so not only successful but perfectionist, intense guys?
I mean, I was raised by some old school grandparents that, you know, wasn't always the easiest too. Sometimes they're pretty demanding, but you know, it's a mindset. You have a boss, you have a job, and you're hired for a reason. And you have to know there's a hierarchy to every organization. So the leader of the organization is the guy that you take the lead from, and whatever he asks you to do, you know, that's what you do. That's your job. That's your responsibility. And if you don't do it, there's always consequences, particularly in this business. So you know, I got a tremendous amount of respect for Bill and Coach Saban. They've been great mentors. Obviously, extremely smart, extremely successful. And I appreciate the way they do things. You know, they make it easy to work for. There's a standard. You know the standard. You got to meet it every day. And if you don't, there's consequences. And I mean, I think it's very fair. It's demanding, but I like the work environment for those guys.
And another Jalen question. It would be easy for people to forget because of how well he did, but he was still a freshman, and also that there's some pretty good defensive coaches trying to adjust and figure out how to stop him. How much do you mentioned his maturity. How do you think he's handled kind of the good and bad, the high praise and the awards and the criticism as well?
You know, we don't talk too much about that. You know, I just know that he's a guy that he loves the game. He loves learning about the game, and that's all you can really ask of these young players is they come in, they commit to working hard, they do the things you ask them to do, they try to improve every day, and take it one day at a time. You know, don't look too far behind you. Don't look way far ahead. We have such a long way to go for anything. Let's try to conquer today. Let's try to do the best job we can do today with what we're asked to do, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Can we learn from prior experiences? Sure. I mean, you'd be foolish not to. But really, our focus every day is how do we handle this day to be as good as we can be.
Come back over here to Aaron.
Aaron Suttles, Tuscaloosa
Yeah.
News. What little bit of practice we get to see? We see you, and you're nearly giving feedback on every rep. Is that something, and a lot of it has been positive from what we hear on the practice field, is that something that you've just evolved or you find players respond to, your positivity?
Well, it might not always be positive. you teach them what to do, you show them how to do it, and you accept no excuses. You know, that's how I was raised in this business. So if there's something that's not run properly, you fix it. If it's run the way you want it to run, you give some encouragement. Every play is not going to be perfect, but we got to take care of the big things. You know, the ball security, knowing where to go with the football, understanding our reads. You know, there's a million things you can tell a player on every play. And, you know, there's a lot of things in football. There's so many different plays and verbiages. Make sure you take care of the big things first, and then you work on the little details as you go. So you just, you know, you stay on them. That's your job as a coach.
Come over here to Michael.
Michael,
Mike.
AL.com. You worked with Nick Saban early in his career as a head coach, and now what are some of the biggest differences you've seen in him?
That's a great question. You know, there really hasn't. He's a pretty consistent individual. You know, whether I was a graduate assistant at Michigan State or here, you know, doing this job, I've seen, you know, tremendous consistency, great leadership, gives you a set of instructions to do. Again, when there's structure and there's organization and there's things to be done and you have deadlines to do them and he tells you how he wants them done, then that's your job to go out there and do them. Whether you're a GA or you're a receiver coach or a quarterback coach or whatever it may be, it's just it's a good working environment. You know, he looks the same 20-some years ago. I can't say the same, but probably got to get on his diet plan.
Go with Alex right here.
Alex Bine, Decatur Daily.
Alex.
I wanted to take you back. You know, your senior year, you had the injury as a junior. How much did that 1 year kind of set you on this path that you've kind of grown, and what did you learn that year? I understand you were quite rambunctious on the sidelines a little bit, you know, at that young age.
You know, disappointed that you couldn't play, obviously, but wanted to be part of it, which led basically into this career, where I went from there to William & Mary, and, you know, was an only child and sending out a bunch of letters, and, I mean, a lot of letters. I didn't have any money, you know. Everybody's got the story. You guys got the story. You come from whatever you come from, and you work hard to try to get there, and, you know, fortunately, Coach Saban gave me an opportunity. You know, as far as being intense and focused, you know, I think that's kind of the way I've been since an early young age. You know, this is kind of my DNA, is to, you know, full steam ahead and be focused and be determined and be energetic and really do things, try to do them the best you can, do them the right way.
We're going to try to get through three more, Coach, real
Sure.
quick. We'll start with Reiner here in the back.
Reiner Saban, AL.com. As far as your defensive background, how much do you think that has shaped your offensive philosophy? And number two, New England ran a lot of rub routes and pick plays. I mean, is that something you think can be used effectively at the college level?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see about that. So what was the first thing again? You started talking about football. I got me thinking about some stuff. Yeah. So, sorry, defensive background. Yeah. So that's kind of where I started and what I played, and, you know, went from a small Division III school where we were very, very basic in what we did to a 1AA school where we didn't do a ton of things. And then when I got to Michigan State, it was like, holy cow. You know, I saw Coach Saban's playbook, and obviously he came from the Browns, and, you know, putting it on a computer and learning that. I think learning the other side of the football and, you know, experience at New England, you know, Coach Belichik has done that quite a bit too. You know, the defensive coordinator started on offense, the offensive coordinator started on defense. So understanding the game and how you're getting defended and maybe some of the weak points and some of the coverages or the front schemes or the force alignments, you know, that can be an advantage. You know, it doesn't mean it's going to be an advantage, but it can definitely be an advantage in terms of understanding how teams are playing you and maybe how you want to attack them formationally or use of motion or lined up empty or motion, whatever it may be. So I got to learn from Coach Saban and Coach Belichik, which, you know, it's pretty good two guys to learn from in that regard.
Two more quick ones, Dwayne and then Scott to finish up.
Obviously, Alabama's had quite a few guys drafted, but when you got here and saw the talent level, what was your initial impression?
Yeah, I came in with really an open mind and tried to be an honest evaluator as I looked at it. And obviously in spring ball, you get to go out there in pads, which is a little different than pro football where you're out there in shorts and T-shirts and running around. And again, you know, there's obviously the NFL has an extremely high talent level. It's 1%, and the guys here are very talented. So you adjust your eyes. You see these young players that are coming out of high school. A lot of good young players here, and we'll just see if we can get them better too.
Last one in the back. Hand that to Scott, please.
Hey, Scott Griffin,
Hi,
99.1
Scott.
Smash
How
Mouth
are you?
Radio. Nice to have you here.
Thanks.
I just wonder about the adjustment on the recruiting trail. We've talked about on-field.
Yep.
How's that been for you? What's good? What's bad? I know Matt Corral was raving about you. I know you can't talk about individual players, but just tell us about that a little
No, that's a great question. I really enjoyed it. You come in from spring ball and you get out on the road and you get to meet a lot of really good individuals, a lot of really good high school football coaches out there. And, sometimes you get to go out to practice and watch how they operate and pick up some things and develop some relationships with both the coaching staff and the players. Really was an enjoyable time for me to sit down and to do that aspect of it. It's something that I hadn't done. But you try to develop relationships and be a good person and steer guys the right way and be a straight shooter, which, I try to be. And I've really enjoyed it. Enjoyed meeting these young players and develop relationship with the coaches. Came in with an open mind, and it's been a good few months, but now it's time to get to work. 2 days in, got a big day today with a lot of new things going in. Guys got to be up to speed with it. Try to go as fast as we can to get them up to speed and demand they know it and do it the right way, and they got to take some accountability with it too. And go out there and have a good practice. That's the goal for today.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Gotta get him back to
Appreciate you meeting you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.